All right, Mike. Looks like Notre Dame's about to host a Texas commit. What can you tell us about that?
It's in the 2027 class, so it's
Okay.
not like a big 2026 flip target or anything like that. But I thought this was pretty notable. Learned about this earlier in the week. Taven Epps from Tustin, California, uh, committed to Texas back in April, and before that, like Notre Dame was very much in the mix, but had not been to South Bend. But Rivals Adam Gorney reports that Epps is, looking at visiting Notre Dame in October. And it's like, all right, if you're coming from California, you're most likely coming for a night game, right, to make that trip. So Epps, we're expecting him to come into town for the USC game. And USC is also a school he's looking at. He's got a few other visits scheduled. You can find those details at Blue and Gold later on Tuesday. So, yeah, again, it's in the 27 class, so it's a long ways to go. But I thought this was interesting. Like Notre Dame's D line board is in a really good spot early on. They have a lot of big time targets. And when you learn about Epps, 6'4, 235-pound edge rusher, number 103 overall player, number 15 edge in the country, visiting for that game. I think that was certainly notable. And then I was just thinking about the USC weekend. We got a few weeks, but the visit list is just as big as the A&M one, and it's only going to get like, and it's a month out still. So there could be some cancellations, but there's only going to be more additions to the visit list. So I figure while we're talking about it, here's a few of the names. Ace Alston from Cincinnati Anderson.
What a name.
Real a great name, especially for a cornerback. Ace, yes, 100%. Number 12 corner in the country. He's been to Notre Dame. Like, it's not going to be easy to go into, Ohio and like beat out the Buckeyes, but it's a Cincinnati DB. You think Mike Mickens and Marcus Freeman would have a good chance here. So he's one to keep an eye on. North Carolina commit Amir Brown is expected to visit Notre Dame for the USC game as well. He committed to North Carolina in August. It was kind of a surprise. And, he was one that we were going to be monitoring for a potential visit to South Bend in the fall. And yeah, it looks like he's going to be taking that trip. Jack Brown from St. Charles, Missouri, visited for A&M game, going to be back in town for the USC game. Number 6 tight end in the country. I think the Irish lead there. Jackson Dollar from Denver, North Carolina, East Lincoln, number 7 tight end in the 27 class. All these guys are 27s. There's still, excuse me, really nothing to report on the 26 class as of right now, but really getting going in the 27 class. And I think that we're going to start seeing things pick up on like the commitment front in the 27 class. Like by the end of the year, you see Notre Dame probably around like 6 or 7 commitments, in that class. And I think Jackson Dollar would be, one that Notre Dame would love to have. Richie Flanagan would be another one from Green Bay, Wisconsin. The younger brother of James Flanagan, the tight end, freshman for the Irish, and then his dad's Jim Flanagan, used to play for Notre Dame back in the day. So, I think that Notre Dame's going to be tough to beat. For Richie Flanagan, a defensive lineman who's ranked as a 4-star offensive lineman. And then not to bury the lead for the USC weekend.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
Yeah, come on, spell 5-star Penn State running back commit. Mason's fired up about that one. The best back in the 27 class. And then even someone like Chris Whitehead, talking about the D-line board, the number 5 edge in the 2027 class. So yeah, you're getting a Texas commit, and then it's a big-time visitor list. And Mason and I will be talking about it in these videos in the weeks to come as well.
Awesome. Speaking of visitor lists, Mike, the recruiting weekend this past weekend for the Purdue game, Notre Dame gets its first win, so that
Yes.
has to help the recruiting weekend. What were you hearing about how everything went out there?
Yeah, like again, like in South Bend for these game days, it's like the night games are going to be bigger. For the day games, you may have some, a few big time prospects, but the night games are really where, Notre Dame pushes for these elite players to come to campus. And it's easier if you're coming from California or Oregon or Georgia or, if New York, Pennsylvania, like if you're coming from farther, it's easier for a night game, obviously. So, Purdue wasn't the biggest visitor list, but around 40 prospects and a few notable ones for sure. Joey O'Brien had a great trip, his first game day visit to South Bend since the Miami of Ohio game last year, and it was his bye week last week, and I believe it was his bye week for that Miami of Ohio game last year, so that's why he's visiting for those 2 games. His visit went great. Elijah Golden, Notre Dame D-line commit in the 26 class. he's been to campus, I think, 5 or 6 times, and this was his first game day. He's only been to campus in April or June, but he had his bye week and visited Notre Dame and really seemed to enjoy himself. New tight end on the 2027 board is JT Garachi. I'm sure I mispronounced that. My apologies. From Ramsey, New Jersey, Don Bosco Prep, adding to a loaded tight end board. We already talked about Jack Brown and Jackson Dollar, and there's others. Seneca Driver, like Coors Loken, who visited for the A&M game. Like it's a really impressive tight end board, and JT adds to that. And then you had a couple in-state kids. Oscar Sloan from Center Grove is the best quarterback in the 28 class according to the rankings, and then the top overall player in the state is Maddox Wheel from Fort Wayne Northrop. So had a good time, and I'll have an article on him sometime in the next few days over at Blue and Gold. And then a couple big time players in the 28 class, including Cameron McGee from Chicago Brother Ice, the number 2 edge in the country, number 10 overall player in the 28 class. So you had a few commits in the 26 class. You had, a few targets in 2027, and then, like an elite D end like Cameron McGee definitely boosted that recruiting weekend.
All right, Mike. And then I'm sure that you love when Notre Dame gets commitments from guys in your area so you can go out and see them.
Yes.
2026 safety Aiden Pouncy, you got to go see him in person. What were your takeaways?
Yeah, Mason, especially around the Orlando area where my wife loves Disney, so it works out great. So Notre Dame keep recruiting in Orlando. So I did get to see Aiden Pouncy from Winter Park, Florida, and his team was getting. I had a full story about this at Blue and Gold to kind of get the game recap, but his team was getting beat up, and they rallied behind. Sorry, there's the profile. Come on, Mike, get it together. Pouncy, number 107 overall player, number 10 safety in the land. So they really rallied around him. So. Just to pop up a few of these on the screen, you can actually see the score 17-3. Winter Park is down, and this was Pouncey's first catch of the game. He's playing receiver, he's playing safety, he's playing corners in the return game. And Creekside, the opponent here, did everything in their power to take Pouncey out of the game. This was like the first time that I noticed that he was not bracketed. They had safety over top, like they. We're not letting Aiden Pouncy beat them, and he eventually did. It's still a
DB.
Poor
He looked like
DB.
Pouncy was jogging.
He kind of was. It was like,
Yeah.
all right, I've run 10 yards, but can he? Even in some of the double coverage scenarios, I'm like, still might throw him the ball. So this, you can't see exactly what happens on the play, but it's like a little short dump off to the flats, and it gets dropped and tipped into the air by that number 86 is the tight end there. He just drops it, and it just falls right into Aiden Pouncey's lap. He read that perfectly. Pouncey told me that this receiver out here is not the receiver who was out there most of the game, so he knew it wasn't going to him. So he said he did not drop back very much, and he knew it was coming short, and he read it like a book. And then makes
it's one thing to drop
6.
it, but it's another to drop it into the air 10 feet into Pouncey's hands. That's crazy.
I know. I had to find another videographer there to see what happened on the play, because what you just saw in the clip is all I got to see. So that was pick 6 number 1. And then it was again, they were down, I think it was 20-13 or something like that with 8 minutes left in the game. And then they just blew the doors open. I think they had 5 interceptions, 4 pick sixes. It was wild. And this play here, Pouncey's just playing. He called it for free roam. He just kind of gets to do whatever he wants, read the quarterback's eyes, and that one he just makes look easy, and is certainly jogging again. Pouncey's got some shit to him, man. He's got some swagger to him. So 4 catches, 93 yards in the touchdown, 2 pick sixes, 7 tackles at TFL. Pouncey was everywhere, bro. And he was a lot of fun to watch. So
Not bad.
Mason, not bad. Mason and I went to go see Blake Fisher play against Joey Tanona a few years ago. So Mason, you know how it is going on the road and seeing recruits. You want to see recruits who are guaranteed action, and I was like, Pouncey he's guaranteed action. There's gonna be so much going on with all the positions he played, and then midway through the first half or midway through the second quarter, I was like, there's nothing. They're throwing the ball not near Pouncey, right? They're double teaming him on offense. He was doing nothing, and then the floodgates opened up. So it was good to see Aiden Pouncy. I think is a slept on player in Notre Dame's class, which is crazy to say with his high ranking in other years. He would be like a typical Brian Kelly class. He'd be like the marquee guy. And, he's kind of one who's, I feel like, being slept on. And that's crazy to say as the number 10 safety in the country. Like, that's just how good this class is. Like, that Aiden Pouncy isn't one who's discussed as one of the top, they're like the 3 or 4 or 5 most top discussed guys. Like, Pouncey's not up there, but he should be. He's a freak show.
Yeah, I think all the talk ends up being about O'Brien and Kari Adams, but he's right there too. So
He's
Notre
so
Dame's
good.
getting
It's
some
such a
freaks
good
at
DB
DB.
class. Such a good DB class.